Welcome to the OrganizedPreneur podcast, where we dive deep into the art of launching and streamlining your podcast and business for impact and growth. I'm your host, Aldreama Harper, a seasoned professional organizer with more than 2 decades of experience in transforming chaos into calm and order. After launching 3 podcasts, I'm here to share with you my insider tips and proven strategies so that you can avoid the pitfalls that I've had to overcome. So whether you're just starting out and looking to enhance your existing endeavors, this podcast will equip you with the knowledge and the tools that you need to work more efficiently, thereby creating more time and more freedom in your life and business. So join me as we explore actionable steps to not only launch, but maximize your business and podcast potential. Let's make success a part of your story. You ready? Let's go. I just absolutely love it. And I talk about it every time you guys come. So anyway, but welcome to the show. I'm excited to have Trey and Gina here joining me again. Hopefully it is not the last time. Let's talk about what you guys are up to now. Let's talk about the business first, and then we're going to talk about ripple effects.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much for having us. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here again. I feel like it's been 6 months since the last time.
Yeah, it feels like it was like not that long.
It feels like it was like
a
lot more recent, but that went by pretty fast.
It did.
It really did. Yeah. That's because we're always thinking about each other. We're always, just kind of in the same, I can't think of the word I want now, but what is it? Telepathic or something? Is that the word I'm thinking about? I don't know. Anyway. But yeah, so go ahead. Let's see what is going on with you guys. Let's talk about the business. Go ahead and share what you guys do for those who, don't know.
I would say that I think we talked a little bit about it last time, but for anyone new who's listening, we do podcast and social media management for female-owned wellness brands. And so in a nutshell, what we do is make your podcast sound crispy, take out the ums, make you sound professional, and we help you to promote it on social media. So, creating podcast snippets out of your episodes and increasing your visibility and reach with that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Were you going to add something to that, Trey?
No, that was great. Great. We get your podcast to industry standard. We get those juicy sound bites, those things that are very clickable, very quotable, those things that stand out, and we just make sure they pop. And we love to.
Yeah.
We've met some pretty cool people, and it makes our job way more fulfilling when people really stand behind something positive and
it's something that we can learn from. Like, for example, just something off the top of my head, he was editing a podcast the other day and there was a guided meditation at the end of it, and he did it along with editing. So that's kind of cool to be able to work with, these type of brands that we resonate with and we can learn from and grow from while we're working.
Yeah, that is so cool. Now, I don't know if we talked about how you guys got started in that business. Let's go ahead and share that with the listeners as well. How did you guys get started?
Well,
So I guess we can go back to kind of the beginning. So he started our business long before we started traveling abroad, and it started out as a record label. And that was when we were living in Atlanta, Georgia. And then we moved to the Philippines. And at the time I was teaching, but I was teaching English online because we had moved abroad. And it just so happened that the Wi-Fi was really bad where we were living in the Philippines. So I had to quit and kind of had a quarter life crisis moment and was like, what am I going to do? And he told me, we have this business, we need marketing. Why don't you do that? And I just fell in love with.
Or I said, we need a website.
We need a website. Yeah.
And you're like, okay, what do we do? And we kind of did some research, but anyways, like she's always been very crafty and very creative with like just making things and scrapbooking and collages. And that really translated to the website, or at least what she started like doing and
digitally,
seeing what she enjoyed. She's like, oh, you can transfer this. And that's kind of when it started with the graphic and the visual part. Mm-hmm. And fast forward to the pandemic, we were all inside, and we were just like really honing these skills and growing. And the audio, the graphic design, the SEO, she was doing a lot of copywriting as well. And we'll talk about our podcast. Our last episode, or a few episodes ago, we talked about how we were doing these things separately. And
like under Wave, it was like he was doing music production or audio engineering projects for artists, and I was doing copywriting through agency work and stuff like that. So it was like really separate, and it was all under Wave, but it was just like we weren't working together. And it started to have some tension, and we also felt like we needed to really come together to see what we can make of Wave. And when that moment happened where we're like, we need to come together and, learn how we can merge our skills, think about what our unique selling point is. And also what he said about the pandemic happening, everybody started a podcast. So we're like,
everyone started a podcast, and then I'm doing all these audio projects, and she's learning social media. And then we're like, oh, wait, it should be pretty easy to edit podcasts. So we did some research about that and started pivoting and positioning ourselves as podcast and social media. And through our travels, which is a big part of our life and our story, is we just started unlearning a lot of things and getting into certain communities that valued wellness and valued just well-being. And obviously she brings in the female piece, and she's introduced me and has connected so many people, including you, Aldreama. It's just a world of female entrepreneurs and females that are just really making a positive impact. And that's how we've evolved. It's us coming together, her bringing her talents and interest, and me bringing my talents and interest. And it's just become this thing that's outside of that. But we had to come together.
It took a while to get to where we are, but we did it. It didn't happen at once, but we slowly but surely made it to where we are today. And now I feel like there aren't a lot of agencies that offer both podcasting and social media assistance. So I feel like what we have to offer is unique, and the fact that, we're a couple, so that's there as well.
Yeah. So, all right, I've got two questions. Trey said that there was a lot of unlearning. What are some things that you had to unlearn?
Unlearning a lot, but the few things that really stick out are our mindset around work, and it's a lot slower. The pace is a lot slower in other countries, especially the Philippines, which was our first one. And it was more community driven. So unlearning, we got to fend for ourselves and work. And
or a lot of people, a lot of our friends who would see us working would be like, you guys work so much.
And here we are thinking we've pulled back because we're in the islands, and they're like, you guys work so much. And it's
come out. And we're like, we work. Kind of letting ourselves have this balance. We're promoting well-being, we're working with wellness brands, and we really want to embody that also. So we kind of had to both unlearn the workaholic tendency.
We grew up, that's how we, in the States, it's very driven like that, especially in the big cities, Chicago. So it's go, or you gotta
hustle.
go.
Hustle and grind, hustle and grind.
And that was one big thing we've unlearned. And money mindsets, especially being an entrepreneur, and self-care, and just our perspective around community, which I mentioned earlier. These were some big pillars that we've unlearned, and we rebuilt it with better, or at least broader perspectives.
Yeah.
And something that I specifically have unlearned is being a former teacher. I had a lot of third graders in my ear, like, Miss Oliver. And it doesn't give you a second to have to yourself and be mindful. And I really didn't ever practice mindfulness. I didn't really even know what that was until I left that. And I still struggle with that. And I still feel like even if I'm away from that, like my own brain, I think we all have that to some extent, is always constantly chattering. And so I have to consciously practice, like, okay, let me just sit my butt down and like about all these things, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that hustle and grind mentality. I mean, I remember, coming up, it was like a badge of honor. You ask somebody, so, hey, what's going on? Oh, I'm busy, hustling and grind. I hate that word hustle. I've had to learn as I've gotten older, hustle is it's not pretty. It's not pretty. So, but yeah, that's a very, very powerful thing. And I know that, the culture, here, of course, I'm in the United States. That's what we're being taught. We're being taught to be unproductive. So we got to learn how to multitask. When you apply for a job, it's like, if you don't know multitasking, so I'm like, well, I guess I won't ever work for anybody because I'm horrible at multitasking. And that's one of the things that I love teaching people is not to, try to stay away from multitasking. But I love that. So one of the things I wanted, as you guys were talking, what is it like working together, like 24 hours a day, being around each other, working together, living together, all of that. What is that like? Because let me tell you, I know people who say, ooh, if I got to spend 24 hours with this man, and work together, so what is that like? What is that like?
I think that because we, like the first part of our marriage, we were so separate. And even before we got married, we were long distance for so long. And so being able to live together and then to be able to work together and not be, when you have separate jobs and you especially are going into an office, you don't see your significant other for basically your whole life. And that's, takes a toll on you. And I think that once we did make the decision to work remotely and be together more, like, I think that we were happier. And, of course, we butt heads, it's natural. And like, we're both tourists. So like, we naturally, butt heads, and we have to plan our alone time and our space apart. Like we know that we need that. And I think that's an important part of it. And it's also important that we've kind of realized, okay, this is like work us, and like, this is how we're going to work together. And then, this is our relationship us, and we're not going to, it's hard to turn off the work talk, but we really have hard. To.
Yeah. I was going to ask that.
It's like, we even say it, okay, we're done talking about work. And then like 15 minutes later, we just like get into it again. And we're just like, no.
Yeah.
But I think we're fortunate. I think we're very fortunate that we can stand each other and we can stand to be around each other.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody. And I understand that as well. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, everyone can do it. But like, I think that our story, we were long distance for so long and just long to be together for so long. And then when we did move in together, it was like, wait, so we got to be apart for like 12 hours a day too? Like, wait, doesn't even feel right. So when we moved, like, we already started being together 24/7 before we really merged with the business. So the business kind of just, and everyone did it during the pandemic. So we're like, cool, we're already doing it. Like we're already together 24/7. So
yeah.
One thing I would like to mention too, and you were talking about multitasking and kind of like making things less, is when we came together with the business, working together on the same client really minimized the extra mental bandwidth. So we're working on the same content. This podcast was released, so they're talking about this. This is what we're making for social media. It's all connected, and it flowed better. And when she said the friction when we were separate, like it wasn't fluid. Now we're working on the same clients. We're all together. We're all on the same page. It's like a team.
And that's something else that a lot of marketing teams, like they're like truly separate. It's just like there's a copywriter and then there's like a social media manager. Like it's very separate. And like, whereas we are really like working together, it's like, okay, I'm going to make the script for this reel. And then you're going to, edit the audio. And then like, we just pass off the tasks.
Just the other day, I was working on a client and she was working on a client, and then we stopped and it was like, all right, switch. And I do the other half, the audio part of the client, and you do the graphic part of this client. And we switch. I was like, that's pretty cool. We weren't doing that 3 years ago. We had a moment and was like, so I guess I could stand her 24/7. I could do it.
No, I love that. I'm one, and I know I've shared this with probably, both of you guys before. My husband and I, we launched the business together. We have been married for this year would be 26 years, but we love being together, love. And I'm a homebody. And so, so there are times when I know that, he needs his time, because anytime, he gets, home from work or whatever, I'm here. So I get my time alone. He gets his time alone if he's, out working or whatever. But it's different from being able to just like have your space, but also respecting that, we're one, but we're also individuals. And so that's so important. That doesn't mean, he loves me less or I love him less or anything like that, but there's times when, we're not talking, not because we're mad or anything, but just because, he's processing whatever, I'm processing whatever, and we're able to come together. But that has worked for us, for the past 20, almost 26 years. Now we had to get to that point. We got married later in life. I was 39 and he's 4 years younger. So he's 34, 30. Yeah. 4 years difference. And so you get to the place, in your marriage where it's like, okay, things they're clicking. Like I'm not going anywhere. He ain't going nowhere. So.
Can we get your story? We haven't heard your story.
Oh, yeah. So my story is that, my husband and I, we knew, it's actually interesting. So we met probably like 10 years before we even dated or anything. So we were friends, but we had kind of lost contact with each other over like 10 years. And so we met like at his birthday party, and he remembers he remembers everything. He remembers what I had on. He remembers what I was, what I looked like, everything. But anyway, it was like when I walked into the room, the men all paused, so, but anyway, so it was his birthday party, and I went, with a girlfriend of mine. And so we talked a little bit like after he called to see, whether I got home okay and all that kind of stuff. But then over about 10 years, we kind of lost contact. But one time we ran into each other. He was working for a company, and we ran into each other on the elevator, and was like, hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. So that was, and a few years came, passed by after that. He called me out of the blue. So that was like, speeding up, 10 years, over the 10-year period. We kind of connected one time, lost connection. He called me out of the blue. Hey, what's going on? How are you doing? And I'm the kind of person, my phone number has never changed. So, and he didn't lose my phone number. Anyway, I'm going to condense the story. So he called me out of the blue and he was like, hey, I was getting ready to go to the movie and just, was wondering if it's okay if I stop by after I come from the movie. I was like, sure. So he stopped by. And I knew then when he came over that he was my husband. I didn't know that at first. I knew it when he came back. Because at first, when we first met, I was like, And so, but then when he came back, I kept hearing in my spirit, this is your husband. This is your husband. That was like, 10 years after that, it was Thanksgiving. I can't remember how we got to that conversation, but it was like over the, a couple of weeks or whatever. I went on a fast and I was talking to the Lord and I was like, Lord, I think I hear you. If this man is my husband, then you talk to him and have him come to me. And so 2 weeks later, he asked me to marry him.
Wow.
What?
Oh my God.
And he said, and here's the thing, even though we kind of knew each other, over, 10 years, we were friends, but we lost contact and we, would reconnect and things like that. But I still was like, I didn't want to be in a place of how some people will say, oh my gosh, I know this is my husband. And, they get all spiritual and all this. I wanted to be sure. So he asked me, this is how he asked me. He said, you're going to be my wife, right?
Wow.
That's how he asked me. I said, yeah. I said, I know. That was how he proposed. And so then we started our wedding date and everything like that and got married the following year in September. So that's a long, but it's a kind of, the short story. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Wow. That's a great story.
I really like hearing that.
Aww.
Yeah. So, and we get along beautifully. I think the key in the whole thing is to have the same vision, Team Harper. That's what it's all about. Like, I'm sure for you it's Team Oliver, anything outside of that is not working, So having the same vision for each other, having, he has a vision for us. He also has a vision for himself. I have a vision for me, but we have, a vision for us, so, and so it just works. We don't even argue a lot. I was going to tell you this because people tell us the same thing. People tell me or they tell him that we look alike. And I think you guys look alike.
Oh my
I'm
God.
not kidding.
We're morphing.
I've been telling her
That's
that. I'm
thing.
like, I think it transcends race. I think we spend so much time together.
Yeah.
All the things we do is together.
Yeah.
I really think we're morphing together.
That's a thing. That's a real thing.
Yeah. I do believe that because it was you guys that put something on social media or something one time, or it might have been on Instagram or something. And I was sitting there, I was like, man, they look alike. And you guys do. I mean, you really do. So that's, always a beautiful thing. I mean, when people tell me that, it's like, okay, I take it with grace and I embrace that, yeah, I'm okay with that. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing. It's really a beautiful thing. So let's move into talking about, we've talked a little bit about your business and, talked about, your story and how you guys work together and all that. So how did you move from that to, because I know initially you didn't have a podcast and you just recently launched a podcast. So tell us about that and how that came about.
I think so. Wave Enterprise was his shower thought and Ripple Effects was my shower thought. I don't think the name of it
The name was mine.
Yeah,
the name was
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah,
the idea
entire idea.
Yeah, start it was me, and we kind of came together on like, okay, I think it's time to do this. Like we've been, we do podcast management for other businesses, and it's time for us to have our own and really feel, what it's like to have a podcast and to get our message out there. And
so many people would ask, well, do you have a podcast? Do you have a podcast? You guys need a podcast. And after working on so many, helping so many, seeing how it really runs from the inside.
Yeah.
When she came to me with the idea of us having a podcast, and it was like, she mentioned like, we really will have even deeper knowledge, firsthand knowledge, if we have our own podcast. And there are things that we've learned by having our own podcast that we didn't know before. There's little nuances that we just got firsthand experience in.
Especially setting up like a whole studio, and like we have our portable studio, and doing that, and like having a video podcast is different from what we have done with our clients, at least.
But it's very smooth because we've done it so much, and so it's our baby. But it's like I think we could flip a switch, because when it's time to edit it, it's just like boom, 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 and then it's time to do the show notes. So it's like we're just like a machine, and it's like, oh wow, like we just did that so quickly, and it's like, well, we do it all the time. So
So what are some things that you see that? What are some mistakes that you see podcasters make?
Good question.
I think that the podcast quality, the audio has to be, you don't need a whole expensive setup, but I think just knowing little, ways to enhance your audio, because we've all heard a podcast episode where there's like screechy noises and like stuff in the background, and we don't want to listen to the whole thing because it's hard to hear it, or it's just hard to listen to it. It doesn't resonate with us. And I feel like that's definitely a big deal, just like off the bat.
Yeah.
I think that is a big deal. I also think that it may be hard if you don't have the resources or the setup to avoid. So if the message is there and the quality isn't, I think the message can still shine through, but I think audio quality is really important. The first thing that popped in my head was intro length. I think sometimes if you're starting the episode at 5 minutes, like you lost me. Like, I'm sorry. And even with the feature that you can speed it up, it's like, what's up? And some podcasts have sponsors, and I think that's cool and all, but with the overall flow, the first like 3 minutes should be concise. The intro, the opening quote, and then getting into the episode, what the episode is about, like it should be pretty quick.
Yeah. So how long should their intro be, you think? Like 30 seconds, a minute?
Yeah, I think 30 seconds.
30 seconds to a minute is, I think,
less, even
59 seconds or less.
Yeah,
59.
Better.
I think sometimes a minute is tasteful, depending on like what the podcast is. What it is, but
it also depends
I've
on
seen
the
some
audience.
5-minute long intros, and it's like,
it's too long.
Oh, I would get lost.
Yeah,
I would. Yeah.
There's no cookie cut. But I think 30 seconds to 60 seconds is it's a sweet spot. Yeah. Ours is like 6 seconds. It's just like, boom, get right into it.
Yeah. And I think you're right. I mean, when you say there's no cookie cutter, but you also have to pay attention to, your listeners and understand, like, especially now, we have a short attention span. Like, even if like, watching a movie or something, it's like, sometimes I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, can we get to the meat of this show? If the intro is too long, it just really, and I don't think I've always been that way. I don't know, but I know now it's my attention span when it comes to things like that. It's like, this is too long. Now I redid my podcast episode. I think, having talked to you guys, I may have to redo my episode, my intro.
I don't want to say that. And if your intro is longer than a minute, I really don't want to send the wrong anyone listening, or you as well. But like you said, we have short attention spans, and as podcasters, it's like I said, it's not cookie cut. A 5-minute intro, if that works for you and your audience is engaged, do it.
Yeah, I think that's the most important part. Like, knowing that your audience is engaged, then that's
what
you want.
We have tools, we have analytics that show you literally how long they listen to your podcast, and if they're dipping before the intro's over, then maybe change something. Yeah, and if not, keep it. Because I don't want you to feel bad either. Your intro, we actually really enjoy your intro to your podcast.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot coming from you guys. That really does mean a lot, But I am definitely with you, on that. Paying attention to your audience, looking at your analytics, and all of that is so important when it comes to that. So here's another question. So, video or audio, which podcast you like best? I know you guys do video podcasts, right? So does that mean you like video podcasting better?
I prefer to consume video, because like, if I'm like doing the dishes or something, maybe not. But like, if I'm like waiting for my meal to cook or like whatever, I like to see at least the words on the screen. Like, some apps like Spotify, like, will put the transcript on there, or like some people will have like the audiograms. I like to see something while I'm listening. At least that's like the type of learner I am.
Gotcha. What about you, Trey?
Exactly the same. I think that as far as strategy is concerned, I think video podcast is powerful because you can still upload it. And if your listener is doing the dishes or doing something where they can't watch, they can still listen. Mm-hmm. And then if they want to,
they have the option.
I like having the option to watch it.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Yeah. What are some other things that, for the sake of the listeners who's launching a podcast or whatever, what are some other things that you can share with them, that would help them to do a better job with their podcast?
I think like something that the question that you asked earlier is like, what are some mistakes? I think something else that a lot of people who are starting, especially if they're setting up their podcast in a way to have guests on, is just trying to get all these people and not vetting the people, not vetting the guests, not even building a relationship with them first, and just like getting on this call. And, like, we know you well, like we have a relationship and we have a good vibe together. And, people feel that, they hear that through the screen. They know that we have a relationship, and, it could be an awkward conversation or awkward energy on a call when you have never met the person, like virtually, or, you just don't know them at all. And so I think that spending some time, which it does take time to vet guests and build that relationship, but I think it is important because, I mean, you want that good vibes in your episodes.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about when she mentioned your question earlier, I'm thinking about some things too. And it's not mistakes. I have a couple things I actually want to say, be concise. I mentioned intros, outros as well. I've seen, and we've recently come across some people tend to, and I don't think it's been any of our clients per se, but some people tend to put too many call to actions in their outro. And that also loses the listener. If they have too many options, they won't take one. So
that's right.
If you do have multiple things or multiple actions you want your audience to take, like breaking it up and having different outros and like rotating between them. I think that's a good piece of advice for technical. A little bit more abstract is like when people come to us and inquire about services, it's usually because they have a business that's been established, it's growing, and they have a platform, they have an audience, and they're like, I think now is the time to start a podcast. I think because I have services, I think the podcast will generate traffic or more traffic to my business. And that allows them to have clear messaging. It allows everything to, like the CTAs, the conversations, when you are vetting guests, it's all intentional. So everything kind of flows from there. And like, we kind of have an ongoing joke, like nowadays everyone has a podcast and like everyone's starting a podcast. And it's just kind of like, just people are just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing if it sticks. But I feel like and even if it's not like backed by a business, if you want to start a podcast and you're listening to this, like, what is it that you're passionate about? What is it that you want to talk about? And like, write it down, write out some thoughts about it before starting. So like, there is some cohesion, and there are times where you kind of just like learn as you go. But I feel like having some kind of clear identity or a clear like message makes everything fall into place.
Absolutely. What are some audio tips from a sound engineer perspective? What are some audio tips that you would have for us?
Well, you're doing one way better than us right now. You got a really nice mic right there. I think that's a really sound investment if you want to be a little step above beginner podcaster, a little more serious, invest in a mic. If you can't, or if you are doing remote interviews like via Zoom or something like this is way cooler. Prompting your guests to make sure they're at least close enough to the screen, or telling them to have headphones. Like, we're doing this together, so we can't have our headphones, but like making sure they have maybe a mic on the headphone, or they're in a room where there's stuff on the wall, so like it doesn't echo too much. You can prompt your guest. So there's some actions you can take prior to the interview that could get the best possible. And if all else fails, hire someone that knows what they're doing.
That part. Exactly.
I think I've covered what I could think about off the top.
Yeah. Gina, so I want to ask you, since you handle a lot of the social media, stuff, what are some things that you see out there people are doing, and you maybe when you see it, you like cringe?
I guess just kind of like being all over the place with the video content with your episodes, and like, one video have like just some completely different branding, and then it's just like not identifiable, and it all needs to be either clearly visually representative of your business if your podcast is part of your business, or your podcast needs to have its own branding. So like for us, we have the same branding for our podcast as we do our business, and so it's very clear that that's part of our business. And I think that's a biggie.
That's good.
What else?
I don't want to cut you off, but I just keep hearing this concept of cohesion. And like one thing we both keep saying is like everything like
needs to be the same.
Whether it's the messaging, the branding, the audio levels, everything should be cohesive. And that's what keeps people engaged, whether it's scrolling through social media or listening.
And that's what makes people remember your brand is when, I saw them on Facebook, but then I also saw them on Instagram and it looks the same. I know it. And they keep popping up. So I'm going to remember them now.
Yeah. You see something like, that must be so-and-so, Yeah.
I saw the graphic that you guys put together for the next event. And it's like,
I loved it. I was like, okay.
That's what we're talking about here. Like, you see that, you're like, okay, who are they? What are they doing?
Yeah, when I saw it, I was like, okay, yeah. Because I mean, I'm not, I definitely am not a graphic artist by no means. I do the best that I can. It's like when we're always in our head and stuff, and then we see something that when someone else does it, like when Gina, did that, and I looked at it, I was like, wow. I mean, I just, it was just like, this is popping. It popped. So, I mean, I absolutely loved it. I guess I hadn't had a chance to tell you that, but yeah, because I put it in. I mean, as soon as I got it, I put it, in the group and on the event, and all of that. It was like, yeah, it's time to, change that, So yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
For our listeners, make sure that you attend our free networking event with Aldreama and I.
Yes.
It's on the 21st of May, depending on when this airs, but every month.
Yes. We love meeting, new people, and it's a lot of fun. We meet people from all across, the globe and everything. So yeah. So what are some parting thoughts that you guys may have that if we got off the call, you think, oh man, I wish we had covered that?
Well, something that I want to say to anyone listening, I actually posted this in our Facebook group today, which is, if you feel like you should start a podcast, you should do it. Just do it. Like, you can figure out all the things along the way. Yes, you should have high quality audio. Yes, you should have a strategy. You should have all the things, but you will figure it out. And you should do the thing. Otherwise, somebody else will do the thing. Yeah. So whatever it is, just put yourself out there, and yeah.
That was fine. That was,
stole it.
She stole my, I'm so mad. I'll double down on it because it may contradict some things we said in the episode before. These are technical tips, especially if you want to level up. But if you have the itch or the urge to start a podcast, even if you don't have the messaging, even if it's not audio quality, no mic, nothing, do it. Start it. No team. Just do it and see and learn along the way. It is a playground. At the end of the day, we're big kids and making splashes. And if you have that, do it. We're doing it. And that's how we met.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I know I said this was those were parting thoughts, but did we talk about how you guys came up with the name Ripple Effect? Did we specifically?
No.
I don't want us to. Yeah. I want us to lose that.
It was more so a shower thought. We were thinking about it because we started talking about the podcast and like mapping it out, and then we're like, we need a name.
Because it's all about connections and how everybody is connected, and how one connection could lead to another opportunity, another connection. And it's a never ending cycle, a never ending thing. And we all have a part in it.
Yeah.
And
I was thinking water, wave. Okay. Wave enterprise. Well, ripple effect. I was like, there's ripples in water. I was like, okay, ripple effect. I'm like, there's probably so many things out there with ripple effects. So like, FX, we do audio visual. You add FX to audio and visual. I'm like, ripple effects. And then I told her about the spelling. She was like, that's it. And I was like, let's do it. Ripple effects.
Yeah. I love the name. I love it. I love how, because like when you guys talk about cohesiveness, your brand and your business, which is Wave, and ripple effect. I mean, it's just all cohesive. I just think about water and island and, trees, and well, I don't really like trees because trees have bugs, but, but I do, I just think about, island and that, type of living and things like that. And so, I mean, you definitely are living, your brand. It's very cohesive how you guys are living, your brand, your podcast, your business, all of that is just one cohesive thing. And I just really love it. I love it. So yeah.
Thank you.
Start by listening and subscribing to the podcast. Simply go to organizedpreneurpodcast.com. And also